This is Mujib from North Country Kettlebells. Today I'm going to be talking about the Kettlebell Snatch and the components that go into doing safe and effective kettlebell snatches. Now, one of the greatest benefits of doing kettlebell snatches is that it coordinates the whole body into doing one explosive action. So the snatch is going to look like a few different parts put together, but when functioning as a proper movement, the snatch is really going to be the entire body working as one in one instant action. All of the components of my basic swing mechanic are going to go into my kettlebell snatch. So my back swing is going to be fairly identical. My upswing is going to look the same when my hips drive. The only difference, again, as with the clean, is going to be the path that the kettlebell travels on when I'm doing the snatch. Otherwise, on the way up, my hips are going to power the snatch in the same way as I would a two-handed swing. And on the way down, my hips are going to receive that kettlebell in the same way at the backswing as it would with a kettlebell swing. The second component when doing kettlebell snatches is that I'm really going to try to keep the kettlebell as close to my body as possible. I'm doing some simple mechanics that are keeping that kettlebell very close to the body, and it's going a little bit more straight up off the body than it is coming up around as an arc. So if I was to draw a line to go with the path of movement of my kettlebell snatch, that line is going to be a little bit more of a diagonal line coming off the hip than it is going to be an arc coming off the hip. And on the way down, I want my movement to be smooth and transition evenly from my overhead lockout into the trajectory that my backswing is going to need so that I can go into that nice and even backswing. But at the same time, I'm going to keep that kettlebell anchored into the torso and not fling it out in front of me or let it pull me forward at all. The third component with my kettlebell snatch is going to be my hand inserting into the handle. So one thing that you'll notice with a nice efficient kettlebell snatch is that the kettlebell's not flipping up and over the hand and landing on the arm with any high impact, but instead the hand is sliding into place and the kettlebell is almost wrapping around the hand as my hand gets into the handle. So I'm not specifically trying to spin the kettlebell around. I'm not trying to manipulate the kettlebell in any way other than to say that when my hips drive to full extension and that kettlebell is floating close to my body, at that moment I'm going to slide my hand into that handle, very similar to putting a glove on. And when I land in that hand insertion, good hand position, that kettlebell should be right on the back of my wrist comfortably, not making an impact as I get to the top of that lockout. That takes a little bit of finesse to learn how to do that, but as you learn how to do it, your snatches will feel more comfortable and the entire movement will feel a lot smoother. So remember always, when we're doing kettlebell snatches, we want them to feel smooth. We don't want to feel a high amount of impact. And so if you're feeling a big impact at the top, try to remember that we're thinking hand insertion and not flipping that kettlebell over the wrist. The next component of the kettlebell snatch is going to play into the highest benefit of the kettlebell snatch. And again, that's coordinating the entire body in the movement. So what I like to think is that at the top of my kettlebell snatch, I'm catching the kettlebell with my entire body and not just with my arms. So the snatch being a full body movement, when I get to that lockout, I should feel that in my legs. I should feel it in my feet. I should feel it in my opposite side, right? Just like with my hand switches and my one-handed swings, my opposite side is working right alongside that swinging kettlebell. And so I always want to feel like that side is just as braced and just as stable when I get to the top of that snatch. So again, the full body is snatching that kettlebell and not just the arm or the shoulder. The last component that we'll cover right now with the kettlebell snatch is going to be the lockout and how that lockout should feel so strong that it could be considered a resting position. Again, I want my stability to be spread out through my whole body so that my arm isn't having to work too hard, and so that once I get into the proper alignment, my whole body should feel like that lockout is totally supported and I can just stand there for a significant amount of time. Try out the kettlebell snatch, see how you like it. If you have any questions about your technique, or if you feel like the kettlebell snatch feels less comfortable than you think it should, or if it's having a high level of impact, or if you're getting a lot of bruising on the back of the wrist, come back down, practice your swing mechanics, your two-handed swings, your one-handed swings, and your hand switches. Start to incorporate cleans into your press work so that your body's understanding how to control the momentum of the kettlebell and so that it's not landing in a very hard way. And then go back to your snatches and practice them being as smooth as possible. And as far as the kettlebell snatches are concerned, the more comfortable that you can feel, the more effective and safe your movement is going to be. This is Mujib from North Country Kettlebells talking about kettlebell snatches.